Move to our discussion items. Do we have a report, Mandy?
Do we get it?
Good afternoon, Madam President and fellow library trustees. I'm excited to present the library's new service, Career Online High School, that is being administered by our Adult Literacy Center at the Camarillo Public Library. Today I have with me Mara Neuron. She is our Adult Literacy Center coordinator who will oversee this service as well as all of our other adult literacy services that we have. We also have a half-time literacy associate, Rhiannon Hyatt, who works closely with Mara to deliver these services. This is a brief overview of what Adult Literacy Center provides for our community, and all of these services are grant-funded by the California State Library. But before I begin, I want to just mention that literacy is an essential skill in the modern world. Without literacy, individuals are unable to fully participate in society. And unfortunately, California has one of the lowest literacy rates in the country. So since we started our building in 2007, we have provided adult literacy. This is to improve literary skills in adults. And it's done with tutors. All of our tutors are volunteer-based. And currently we have 30 pairs with 6 tutors that are training. So it's our goal this year to expand the program and involve more learners and tutors into our program. Something that happened recently is that we offer English as a second language. This is one-on-one tutoring, again with our volunteer tutors, for residents and community members to improve in conversation skills, pronunciation, and gain comprehension. But what's really exciting is that later this summer, we're going to start our Career Online High School. So the Career Online High School program enables California adults to earn a high school diploma free of charge through their local public library. To date, about 27,000 have explored their interest, while over 6,000 have enrolled in the program. And just to give you some context, there are about 12% of adults in the U.S. that do not have a high school credential. 15% in California do not have a high school credential. And locally in Camarillo, there's 7% of adults without a high school credential, and so it is our goal to get those members to come into our library and enroll in our Career Online High School program. So many Career Online High School participants face barriers in obtaining a high school diploma, including transportation limitations, family responsibilities, restrictive schedules, and educational trauma. And as you can imagine, once you drop out of high school, it's very hard to go back. So this is why this program is so inspiring, because it offers adults a second chance. Our community impact. So just to put it in reference, when individuals drop out of high school, they earn $10,000 less annually than those with a high school degree. They earn $34,000 less than those with a bachelor's degree. They experience higher unemployment rates, but most staggering, it costs taxpayers approximately $300,000 over the course of their life to those who drop out of high school. And unfortunately, it also makes them more likely to become incarcerated. So the Career Online High School program that's going to be administered by the library is part of the world's first accredited national online high school district. Transfer credits are accepted, including GED subject tests, and fortunately, there's no standardized testings with the program. The program makes it relevant to the students' lives. They're complete real-world career classes first. So popular topics include food and hospitality, childcare and education, commercial driving, and office management, for example. It also reduces their fear of failure. They build confidence with small wins. So student must earn a 70% or better, but if not, they're remediated and they're able to try again. And more importantly, they're provided support. Each student is assigned an academic coach who guides them from start to finish. So this is just what they're taken for their coursework. So they do have to take language arts classes such as grammar and literature. in composition. They're required to take social study classes, including world history, American government and economics. They're required to take mathematics, such as general math, consumer math, and algebra. And they're required to take science, such as earth and space science, physical science, and biology, plus 4 career electives. So on average, it takes about 11 months for students to receive their diploma through this program. And then this is alumni data that was taken in 2020. The people who graduate, 81% pursue post-secondary education. 82% are employed or full-time students. 64% have gained skills that have helped them with their job and personal life. 98% recommend the program to others, while 53% continue to use the library after earning their diploma. And some of the top fields after graduation is healthcare, government, and childcare. So Mara has identified several students locally that are pursuing the HiSET or GED adult education centers outside of Camarillo, so we'll be reaching out to those students to participate. But I would like all of you in this room and the library board, if you know somebody who has, for some reason, not completed their high school diploma, please let them know about this service. This is our contact information and phone number. But again, in under a year, you could truly change your life just by participating. And that concludes my presentation. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Mandy, for this very informational presentation. Does the board have any questions or comments? Done on this? Yes.
I think this is a great program. Yeah, congratulations on bringing it forward. I think that there's a definite need for this, and there's a lot of different ways to, kind of achieve that goal. So hopefully this will be successful. If there's anybody out there that's interested, this is an opportunity for them.
Yeah,
So
again, it's free and easy, so we would love to have some people enrolled.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I just have one question. Will you be putting this information on social media for us to share?
Yes, it will be on our website. Once it's, we're hoping to launch this in August, so once we will be marketing the program on our website and social media.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right. So this is a receive and file. Thank you very much for the update. And with no additional business, we will now adjourn the meeting of the Camarillo Library Board.
All right, I'd like to call the Camarillo Sanitary District meeting for Wednesday, June 28th to order, and let the record reflect that all the directors are present. Any public comments on the sanitary district at this particular point? I don't see anybody coming forward, so that's going to get us down to the consent calendar items.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, please vote. That passes unanimously. So that's going to get us down to the public hearing. It's a resolution placing direct assessments of the Ventura County secured property tax roll. Do we have a staff report on that? Mr. Uribe?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, sanitary board members. This item would replace delinquent sewer service charges on the property tax roll for collection at the time property taxes are paid. This is an item that we bring each year at this time. And CSD Ordinance Number 49 authorizes delinquent sewer charges to be placed on the county secured property tax roll. On May 9th, notifications were mailed to 16 customers informing them of this public hearing and the intent to place their delinquent accounts on the tax roll for collection. As of this date, there are 7 delinquent accounts outstanding. That concludes the brief report, very brief report. I'm available for questions. Otherwise, this is a public hearing item.
Any questions? All right, so with that, this is an advertised public hearing, so I'm going to open the public hearing. I'm going to ask anybody in the audience if you'd like to come and address the sanitary district on this issue. And seeing no one come forward, I'm going to close the public hearing, and I'll ask directions from my contemporaries.
Move the recommended resolution.
I will second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this item? Hearing none, please vote. That passes unanimously. So we do have some other items on the agenda. However, we're going to recess, and we'll address these when it comes upon the city council's agenda. So with that, we're in recess.
And I will open this meeting of the Camarillo City Council. Let the record reflect that all council members are present. And we are going to start with a presentation item tonight. Tally, will you come up? Am I on? Tonight, we are awarding Tally Tucker for her 29 years of service to the city of Camarillo. And I have a few things to read here. Tally has worked for the city for 29 years, from 1994 to 2023. Her title is the Assistant Director of Public Works / City Engineer. She has worked under 5 city managers, 3 directors, has had 3 title changes, worked under 2 departments, and worked for 1 wonderful city. She's been the city engineer for 22 years. She started working in Camarillo when there was only 1 movie theater with 3 screens and no shopping outlets. She has experienced and assisted with mass development over her 29 years. Thank you so much for your service to the city. It's been wonderful to work with you, and I wish you the best in everything that you endeavor from here on out. And here is your tile from the city. I think Dave Klotzel wants to say a few words as well.
Yeah, this won't be over that fast. I'm not going to get away with just a quick photo there, and I'm sure council may have some additional comments too. But no, thank you for the opportunity just to share a couple thoughts. There may be a couple people here that have known Tally a few years longer than I, but not too many. I had to write down some notes here, so I apologize I don't have things memorized. But anyway, Tally and I were reminiscing the other day. We met about 26 or 27 years ago, 1996 or 97. At that time, I was working as a consultant for the city, doing plan checks for the engineering division, reviewing projects back then that were in the works, like Parties, Pitts Ranch, Toll Brothers, Pinnacle, and Camarillo were under development. And then in 2001, I was lucky enough to land a job for Public Works in Camarillo, came to the city then. That was my first tour here, and actually I was working for Tally back then. We've seen a lot of Camarillo get developed in those years. I think Target Center was just happening when Tally started, and then the outlet soon after that, so a lot of other really good developments. And I just want to emphasize the key role that Tally has played over those years, being a key player in the development of Camarillo and why things have turned out so good. She worked very closely, as was mentioned before, our prior directors, but one of those very closely with Dan Greeley, prior engineering director, and at the time Tony Bowden was planning director. Somewhat of the forefathers of the development process and layout of the city that's developed so well. Both, no longer with us, but were a huge part of the successful planning and development of Camarillo, along with many others after them. I recall Tally sharing a story a couple of different times, and I think it was maybe it was 22 years ago when the city engineer position came open under Dan Greeley, and just remember her telling me she was in his office and confidently told him, "I can do this job." And sure enough, thankfully, she got the job. Thankfully for all of us that have worked for her, worked with her, and she has done the job. Definitely has done the job, and extremely well. Can't emphasize enough the consistently going above and beyond, unquestionable engineering capability, integrity, thoroughness, honesty, and then also just a genuine care and concern for not only her work and for this great city, but for those that she works with. Just really a testimony to who she is. So I've been extremely blessed in many ways to have known and worked with Tally for many of those 29 years here at the city. I do have to mention one specific benefit that I've reaped many times, specifically personally with working with Tally, is she has an amazing photographic memory. And not only for things that she sees and hears, like lines from movies, amazing, especially back in the 80s. And anyway, often relating something that comes up at work, like, oh yeah, it reminds me of this movie. And anyway, I can't remember any of that stuff, which is another reason why. So in meetings, she'll remember who all was at a meeting, where they sat, and what they said. And just a huge benefit to me because I'm the exact opposite, not a very good memory at all. So I'm going to miss that big time. So just much appreciation for that. Anyway, I could go on, and but just all of Public Works and the whole city is going to really feel the impact of your departure, Tally, hugely. And we wish you only the very best future possible. And it's just been wonderful working together, and congratulations on a well-deserved retirement. And Tyle, she had to be here tonight because she had no other items on the agenda. So I'm glad this worked out, and she's able to be here for her last council meeting. So thanks again, and congratulations, Tally.
I'm going to take my seat, but I'm sure that my colleagues would like to say something.
You want to start?
You want me
You want to start?
to go first?
Go. Sure.
Tally and I go back a few years, and Tally, once again, you finished first ahead of me. You've been here longer than I have. It's kind of bittersweet for me because not only is Tally an outstanding professional, but she's also a personal friend of mine. And I'm really going to miss you, Tally. But, when I first came on this job, I knew absolutely nothing about anything engineering. And Tally was one of the first one that came to me and really explained to me in kind of clothing terms engineering, which is a little bit difficult. But I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to talk to me a little bit about engineering, which is not really one of the subjects that I either talk or hopefully spend a whole lot of time on, but you made it fun and you made it easy, Tally. And your professionalism is unparalleled. Look at all of our employees here, both past and present, that support Tally and are here taking time out of their busy schedule. Tally, it speaks volumes of your credibility. And your son's here, which is really terrific. You have a wonderful family, Tally. And Tally never got frustrated. I mean, I remember calling her about issues that were very, very complicated. And Tally always was very professional, never got frustrated on any issue. And that is so unique. And the city was so, kind of had a direct benefit to your personality, Tally. And when I heard that you were going to retire, I really had some mixed emotions. Super happy for you, happy for your family, but sad for me personally and for the city because your shoes are going to be extremely hard to fill. But super happy for you. Wish you nothing but success in the future, Tally. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to talk to me about city issues and hopefully bring me up to a little bit of speed on the very technical. She has an extremely technical job here, and there's very few people that can do it, and she did it first among equals. She did the very best, and you're the best and the brightest our city has to offer us, Tally, and I want to thank you for sharing your mom with us all these years. And Tally, once again, thank you so much. I don't want to go on and on because like Dave said, you can go on for a long time here, but I just want to thank you so much for staying with the city as long as you did. It makes me smile. So all the best, tally ho, as they say.
I'm not going to beat that one. Over the course of my legal career, I've been lucky over, oh my goodness, almost 40 years to work with literally hundreds of public sector employees in special districts and in municipalities, but mostly special districts. The quality of the employees that we have in this city, I put against anyone any other team from any other district and any other municipality. Our employees are outstanding. And Tally, you've been leading our employees, and you typify how outstanding our employees are. So I don't come at it from a clothing perspective. I come at it from a lawyer's perspective. And Tally, you have had to explain to me many times in very dumbed-down terms that even a lawyer, forgive me to the city attorney, will understand how an engineering concept will work. It has been delightful to work with you. You are highly professional. You have the ability to take complicated engineering aspects and explain them even to a lawyer, which is a great feat. And we've received the highest quality advice from you, and through it all, and we've been in many, many meetings, you have delivered it with the highest professionalism and integrity and being a straight shooter. I have always been able to rely on what you are telling me in the greatest of confidence. And so I wish you all good things. I wish you weren't retiring. I wish you weren't leaving, but you are, and darn it. But we also have so many good employees here that you have led, and I, as a council member, really appreciate your work. So thank you.
Tally, well, I have not been as fortunate to have had that history and that relationship with you. But that being said, I know that the work that you have done has made an impact in the way that we are as a city. And it is also very much felt by your colleagues and your family who is here. I can definitely feel the love. So thank you so much for sharing your life with the city of Camarillo. And also thank you for being a role model for so many, especially for little girls who aim to be in the area of STEM. It's very, very important. Thank you.
Tally, I think I first met you when you were brand new here. I was the captain assigned to the station. And just a bit of trivia, you worked with 9 different police chiefs. Unfortunately for you, 2 of them were named Tennyson. I just want to say probably the thing that's going to be missed the most, other than your technical expertise, is that big, beautiful smile that you always have every time I've ever seen you at City Hall throughout all of my different assignments here in my last 6 months as city council member. Thank you, enjoy retirement, but remember what I told you out there, you will get bored. Don't say it's your last city council meeting. I said that in 2004. Good luck.
Congratulations. Thank you so much for your service, Tally.
Are we on here?
Yes,
Are
you
we on?
have to hold it close.
Thank you so much. It's right there. I'm used to the little microphones down at the table. So I just want to say a quick thank you to council, all the prior council members for 29 years for the opportunity to work for such a wonderful city. And to the planning commissioners, I don't see any here, but I was also the engineering services / public works department staff member for 29 years, standing meetings on my calendar 2 Tuesdays every month for 29 years. I did get hall passes and excused a few times, so I appreciate that. That was very nice. So thank you. I did enjoy working with the planning commissioners as well. Executive staff, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to help me grow and learn and just enjoy my job. I enjoy what I do. So thank you for that, executive staff. And then, right, blood, sweat, and tears. These are the tears. To staff, coworkers, thank you so much. I'm going to miss just everyone. And I just wish you all success and happiness. And it's about all I can get out. If I could put it into one word, it's gratitude. Gratitude.
Okay. That brings us down to board and staff comments and reports. And tonight, I will start with Mr. Tremblay. Sorry, surprise.
No, that's okay. No, that's good. Let's see, meetings attended to report on June 15. You can stay, these are really scintillating. No, I'm kidding. It's okay. Yeah, that's the fun part. Meetings attended June 15th, meeting with city staff regarding the Sustainability Master Plan. On June 16th, meeting with city staff regarding Camarillo Ranch. June 23, I had a Metrolink Board of Directors meeting in Los Angeles. And June 28th, this morning, with Councilmember Martinez Bravo, a Utilities Committee meeting. We spent quite a bit of time at that Utilities Committee meeting, as in other meetings.
Bright and early.
Thank you for your patience, and thank you to staff. The only thing I wanted to just announce to you is I received a legislative alert today through the Metrolink Board, and you may have already read this in the paper, but last night, the state legislature passed key elements of the fiscal year 23-24 state budget, and it includes just over $5 billion in funds newly available for transit operations, which is a goal that the California Transit Association and Metrolink and commuter rail carriers and public transit carriers had been, our providers had been advocating for. The governor apparently has signaled his intent to sign the legislation. This was really important because state funding is needed to head off. You've been hearing about transit agencies facing fiscal cliffs, and that applies across the board. It's not just on the rail standpoint, it's with buses, et cetera, and it became a real consensus priority of CTA. And the other important aspect of this, and I know I mentioned it before, and that is typically the funds that are in this, that are in the TIRCP funding, Transit and Intercity Rail Capital Program funding, they are typically there for capital and not for operation and maintenance, but these funds will be fully flexed, which means they can be utilized for operational as well as capital. I know we'll be hearing more about it from a transportation standpoint, right, guys? Soon. But in any event, it was good news. So that's it for me.
Okay. Mr. Kildee?
So June 22nd, the Economic Development Land Use Committee, and June 27th, the Investment and Finance Committee. And that's all I have tonight.
Dr. Martinez Bravo.
Thank you. So on June 15th, I was honored to be the keynote speaker at Cal State Channel Islands University Preparation Charter School promotion ceremony, where the 8th graders were promoting. It was a very sweet and very empowering event. It was, I was able to provide the speech in both Spanish and English, since they do have a dual immersion program. And June 16th, I attended the Moore Park State of the College President's Address with Councilmember Kildee, and Dr. Julia Sokenu is the president there. They're doing a great job really addressing one of the biggest barriers to education, which is housing. And I did pick up some pamphlets for the council members who were not there to give you more information about the college, so I have that for you. June 20th, I attended the Camarillo Airport Cloud 9 facility tour with Councilmember Kildee as well. And June 26th, I attended the Women in Agriculture Mixer at Yolanda's restaurant in Camarillo. And it was a great event, and it wasn't just the growers, it was people from the UC Regents who are doing research locally in their extension program here, in addition to like the educator or education director from Underwood who, is investing in our community and our children in that way. And June 27th, I attended the Growing Works tour. It was my first time. I really didn't know much about Growing Works, but they are a local plant nursery and also a mental wellness program. They are partnered with a local 501c3, a nonprofit, Turning Point Foundation, and so they provide job training, employment, volunteer opportunities, and recovery services for people with mental health challenges. And I think we all know how therapeutic it can be to be gardening, to, be present with our earth. So I really enjoyed that experience, and I took a lot of photos, put it up on my social media. June 28th, today, I attended the Utilities Committee with Councilmember Tremblay. And I also wanted to wish happy and very safe 4th of July to our families in our community. We do have the fireworks at the outlets at 9 p.m. Les deseo a nuestra comunidad un feliz 4 de julio. Espero ver los fuegos artificiales con mi familia en las outlets de Camarillo. On that note, I also hope and wish that our past Juneteenth holiday was a very happy and joyous one. I think it is important to remember our U.S. history, where millions of Black people remained enslaved after the Emancipation Proclamation was signed. And Juneteenth marks that day when most enslaved people, not all, but when most were permitted to leave their plantation prison camps. So I believe that we are not free until all are free, and I believe it is important to celebrate the freedom of all people and not just some. And for us to continue to do our part to dissect systemic racism and how that impacts our communities. Espero que nuestra celebración de Juneteenth, que es el 19 de junio, haya sido feliz. Es importante recordar nuestra historia de nuestro país, donde millones de negros permanecieron esclavizados después de que se firmó la Proclamación de Emancipación. Juneteenth marca el día en que la mayoría de las personas esclavizadas se les permitió abandonar a sus campos de prisión de las plantaciones. Yo creo que no somos libres hasta que todos sean libres. Creo que es importante celebrar la libertad de todas las personas, no solamente de algunas, y de continuar haciendo nuestra parte para diseccionar el impacto de racismo sistémico en nuestras comunidades. Gracias. Thank you.
Mr. Tennyson.
Thank you. Yesterday, along with Councilmember Kildee, I attended the Investment and Finance Committee meeting, but what I want to spend my time on is talking about something that I was lucky enough to witness and be part of in Camarillo that once again reinforced for me what an absolutely phenomenal community we have. On Sunday, Ethan Jordan, who was seriously injured, almost critically injured in an accident 10 months ago, came home, and there was a car parade of vintage cars led off by our police department. But rather than put my own words to it, I'm going to share the words of our police chief, who has been closely involved with the family since the day of that accident. He led off the parade, and he said, "Today was a special day for me and for the peers of mine at Camarillo Police Department. We got to be a part of a very special day, leading many other Camarillo friends and family members in a parade welcoming Ethan Jordan home after his accident 10 months ago. The day of his accident, I was worried that his parents would lose him. When he pulled through, the doctor set a very low expectation for his quality of life. This young man blew right through every roadblock or expectation that was placed in front of him, and now he is home with his family and friends, where I know he will continue to defy the odds. Family and friends, this young man has an attitude and determination that should inspire all of us. Although he is home, his recovery isn't over, and I ask you all to please take a moment over the next few days, weeks, and months to pray for Ethan and his family. I believe God has great plans for Ethan." And I can tell you it was such an emotional day, and I get a little emotional, and I was dripping some tears on Sunday when I saw this young man standing up after what happened 10 months ago. Thank you for our police department and the fire department and all of the residents in the community that made this a special day for Ethan Jordan.
Thank you. Okay, for myself, for meetings attended on June 21st, I had the Clean Power Alliance Executive Committee, and right before that, I did go out to our job fair. I wasn't there for very long, but I did walk around and saw a great turnout. On June 22nd, I had the Economic Development and Land Use Committee meeting. On June 24th, I was invited to the Camarillo Evening Toastmasters 50th Anniversary Dinner, which was really lovely. And then right after that, I went over to the concert at the park for our first in the series, and it looked like there was a ton of people out there having a lot of fun and lots of dancing, exactly what we like to see. So that's all I have. Okay, so that will bring us down to our consent calendar. Before we jump into it, there is a correction that we need to make on item Q. For the record, there's been a clerical error that has been corrected on the consent calendar item Q regarding the landscape maintenance services agreement amendment. The report and amendment incorrectly stated that maintenance work is added to the Callegas Creek Bike Trail and has been corrected to reflect that the work is added to the Camarillo pathway. There are no changes to the fiscal impact or recommended action, and any motion to approve the consent calendar will include the clerical corrections to item Q. With that, we have the consent calendar.
So I would just like to ask a question. I don't want to pull the item, if I may, Mayor?
Sure.
Okay. So for item I, which is the First Amendment to Professional Services Agreement, I understand, and it was stated in the report, that the 2023-24 council goals and objectives include several of the objectives in where these services are going to be utilized. And so I just wanted to just gain a little bit more details as to if you can provide, staff can provide some examples and information about this.
Thank you, Councilmember Martinez-Bravo. The goal that I'd like to focus on in responding to your question is, it's under the category of employee relations. For the fiscal year 23-24, council adjusted the goal a little bit, and here's how it reads. It is the goal of the City Council to maintain an optimum work environment through competitive salaries, benefits, and training. And so while the City of Camarillo has always been supportive of training, providing training to staff, we are stepping it up by transitioning to professional development. With the several projects and implementations that staff currently have in the day-to-day operations, Feldman is providing the expertise and the focused time to be able to get us to accomplish this action strategy without delay. Feldman has interviewed the management team and conducted an employee survey. We wanted to understand what the employees' interests are in this area of professional development and wanted to understand what their needs are. What do they think that is that they need to professionally develop and in their job classifications. We are embarking on a new program. So this is new for the City of Camarillo when we talk about professional development that identifies required trainings for employees to perform their jobs, such as the water-related certifications. We currently, our operators, for example, require a certain level of certificates, which they do have. But we want to make sure that there's we continue to offer opportunities for them to get other certifications. Other categories of training that we're looking for in this professional development program include voluntary and required trainings, such as a supervisory skill set. So as employees are looking to move up in supervision or lead positions, is giving them a just much more comprehensive supervisory skill set rather than just that webinar or that one training. We want to be able to have a program for them. Other trainings include in the category of leadership. So just ensuring that all levels of our employees are able to attend leadership trainings, typically in organizations and even in ours. We tend to start at the top and give our executive team, our management team, but leadership is throughout the organization, so providing opportunities like that for across the board. And soft skills, communication, active listening, those type of skills, we want to be able to provide that. So this is a very comprehensive program that requires time and effort. We would like not to delay it, so we've hired Feldman to provide that focus, that time and effort to be able to accomplish that. By looking at different opportunities of training, what training is out there, what fits our needs based on classifications. We have the CJPA, for example, offers trainings. What would that fit that they offer fit that program? We're already a member of it. We have some of our law firms that provide training. So just being able to analyze and look at all of that. So we feel very strongly that we want to be able to provide these career ladders in their job description. So our current consultant on the class and comp who will be working on our job descriptions, another part of that is to be able to include this career ladder there so that the supervisor and the employee can discuss potential opportunities, growth opportunities for the employees. We want to make that part of the evaluation. So there's a lot going on there. So we believe that the investment in staff is an investment in our community by the high quality of services they provide. So that's just one example. And our employees are accomplishing many action strategies throughout many of the objectives. So we believe that this investment of developing a professional development program will go a long way.
Thank you very much. I have no further questions.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion on the consent calendar.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Without further discussion, please vote. And that passes unanimously. Okay, that will bring us down to our first discussion item, which is item S, which is repealing the Water Conservation Urgency Ordinance. Dave Klotzel, are you taking this?
Yes. Yes, thank you, Mayor, City Council. In response to last year's drought conditions, City Council has adopted successive urgency ordinances to comply with evolving state, metropolitan, and Cayugas Municipal Water District conservation requirements, ultimately declaring water conservation measures with a goal of 20 to 30% reduction in water use, limiting outdoor watering to 1 day per week, and prohibiting the watering of non-functional turf at commercial, industrial, and institutional sites, including common areas of homeowners associations. Earlier this year, after significant winter rain and snow events, Metropolitan and Cayugas eased the conservation requirements, and on March 22nd, City Council adopted the current urgency ordinance number 2006, allowing outdoor watering 2 days per week. Since then, the state, Metropolitan, and Cayugas have fully rescinded the emergency water shortage conditions and conservation restrictions, and the Department of Water Resources increased the allocation of imported supplies from the State Water Project to 100%, up from the 5% allocation last year. Most all water storage reservoirs in the state are now full or nearly full, and additional snowmelt is occurring off the snowpack that was received through the winter. So based on current water supply conditions, staff recommends repealing Water Conservation Urgency Ordinance number 2006 and adopting a resolution moving to a Stage 1 water shortage condition, allowing residential irrigation 4 days a week and encouraging continued water use efficiency and conservation to further extend water supplies into the future. Watering of non-functional turf will remain prohibited in conformance with continued state restrictions. Staff will continue implementing a public information campaign to notify city water customers of the importance of continuing to use water efficiently, along with the change to the 4 days a week watering, and also provide information about available water conservation rebates, and we'll continue monitoring and notification of the water conservation measures with a focus on awareness and education. That concludes my report, and I'm available for questions.
Do we have any questions? Mr. Kildee.
Yeah, Dave, so that gets us down to, excuse me, basically 4 days a week. Does that address the time per station at all, or is it just strongly encouraged that you still use water conservation techniques?
Right, the latter, strongly encouraged. What the Stage 1 condition is already in existence within our water conservation ordinance, being the first stage of a conservation step. So that's what we're reverting to, is what's already in place as a Stage 1 with the 4 days a week. No timing limit, or even address per day, what address is going to water on which day. So it's really reverting to the lowest level of conservation level that the city has.
Because I bring that question up because I know I'm not alone here, but I would not like to see a bunch of water going down the streets into drains again. So obviously, we'll strongly encourage them for the water conservation, but will we still have an enforcement mechanism for us if, in fact, we do see some of that at least is somewhat, arbitrary on whether or not they're complying with that or not.
Right, absolutely. We will continue. Again, we're lessening the amount of time that's spent out on the streets, which we ramped that way up when we went to specific days, 1 day a week, and for specific addresses. So we're ratcheting back on that, but still we'll be monitoring and on the lookout for extreme water wasters, overspray, just, those situations. And then with an approach of informing and making the customer aware of what's going on. Often it's a help with them understanding their sprinkler timer and that it's either been reset or needs to be set. So we have folks that'll help with that. But really, helping to inform people of the situation at their place, if it's extreme water waste, for change and compliance with that. We likely don't go to a penalty type phase or approach on that, and most everybody's very willing because it ends up saving them money, right? The less water they waste, the better it is for them too. So that'll be our continued goal, is to assist and information, education, and to gain compliance.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I would like to move staff's recommendations 1, 2, and 3.
May I read the title?
Yes, the title of the
Thank you.
ordinance.
This is an urgency ordinance number 2012. It's an urgency ordinance of the City Council of the City of Camarillo, California, repealing urgency ordinance number 2006. Thank you.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, now we have a motion and a second. Please vote. And that passes unanimously. Okay. So now we're down to our joint items. Want to reconvene sanitary?
I'll reconvene the Camarillo Sanitary District as well.
Okay. So that brings us down to our discussion item, item T, which is the adoption of the fiscal year 23-24 budget and related resolutions.
Okay. Thank you, members of the City Council and Sanitary Board. Tonight's item on the 23-24 budget has 4 components. It's the 23-24 proposed budget, the GAN appropriations limit, the GASB 54 commitment of fund balance, and the City and CSD compensation classification and benefits program. As the budget development process for 23-24 began in January, preliminary budget review was done in March. The budget workshop was done on May 6th with a more detailed review. And although this is a very brief presentation, that workshop was about 3 hours of discussion on all the details of the budget. We are presenting the 23-24 budget as a balanced budget. That means that operating revenues meet or exceed operating expenditures, and that the planned use of fund balance reserves would be for one-time capital expenditures. The total budgeted expenditures for all funds, the city has 51 different funds, is about $134.7 million. And the total budgeted expenditures for the general fund, which is the primary operating fund for the city, is about $61.5 million. Total budgeted expenditures for the Camarillo Sanitary District are $17.4 million. Some of the items included in the proposed budget are facilities improvements, including capital, the City Hall, Courtyard, Police Facility, the Camarillo Sanitary District, and the library. The information technology software advancements include digital record systems, and also included a library contract with Library Systems and Services, who operates the library, the Ventura County Sheriff contract, and the Ventura County Animal Control contract. Also included in the 23-24 proposed budget is the funding for the capital projects, which you'll be hearing a presentation in a little while. But the first 2 years' funding for those projects are included in the budget. The annual GAN appropriations limit is under Article 13B of the state constitution, and it limits the amount of taxes that can be appropriated by government. It's required to be set each fiscal year. There's an annual inflation and population growth factor applied, and it is an adoption by resolution. The appropriation limit for fiscal year 23-24 is $135.4 million, while the appropriations that are subject to that limit are $61.5 million. That means we are under the limit by 73, almost $74 million. The next component of this is the GASB Statement Number 54, which began in 2011. This requires categorization and classification of fund balance in the Annual Comprehensive Financial Report, or the ACFR. City Council may commit fund balance for specific purposes by resolution, and those commitments that we'll see on the next slide can be changed at any point throughout the fiscal year. As of June 30th, 2023, the general fund balance projected to be $79.3 million, and the recommended commitments total $71.4 million, as we see here. The first one being $30.4 million is the council reserve goal per policy 3.05. Then the next series of commitments are $5.4 million for economic development, $10 million for natural disaster recovery, $200,000 for the Camarillo Springs debris barrier remediation maintenance, $8 million for the Pleasant Valley Park and Rec District Community Senior Center, $9 million for capital improvement projects, $4.6 million for buildings and grounds capital projects, and $3.8 million for continuum of care efforts. That's a total of $40.985 million in other commitments, combined with the $30.4 at the top for the council reserve goal, brings it to a total of $71.4 million committed fund balance. The next component is the City and CSD Compensation, Classification, and Benefits Program. In the budget preparation process and presented to City Council at the budget workshop, staff built in a 4% COLA adjustment to salaries while the city completed a comprehensive classification and compensation study. The 4% COLA was considered on CPI, with the prior year March to March measure being 8% and the current year being 5%. This recommendation supports the City Council's policy of salaries being 7% above market average. The study was completed and salary ranges were adjusted to meet internal and market equity, with the focus of meeting City Council's expectations to retain and maintain an effective workforce. The ranges were expanded, salary ranges were expanded from a 35% range to a 50% range, allowing for the attraction of candidates for vacant positions and for retaining current staff. Other than adjustments to bring employees into the range if they fell below, or adjusting for the merit for topped-out employees that may now qualify for a potential merit increase, the study did not require any additional increases. So that completes the brief presentation. I will say that Mr. Mark Holcomb, the project manager from Evergreen Solutions, is present to answer any questions on the compensation and classification study.
Thank you, Mark. Do we have any questions? No
I
questions?
don't have any questions. I have a comment. But
Comments?
I don't have any comments.
Let's go into comments.
All my years on the council here, this is probably one of the most important votes that we take per year. And I've always felt that if you don't have any money, everything else is somewhat meaningless, not totally, but somewhat. And we worked really hard on this budget. If you look at it, it's very comprehensive. There's a lot of projects. There's a lot going on. The council's worked really hard to make sure that our budget is on time and it's balanced. And I want to thank all the staff members for their hard work, all the department heads, and all of our employees here as well. We're very lucky that we have outstanding management in the city, and the council cares about the budget. It cares about our employees. It cares about our residents that live here. So again, I want to thank everybody for the process here. As Mr. Uribe has stated, we actually started that in January and probably a little bit before that. So it's a long process, but it's ended really well. So those are my comments.
Anyone else?
I also just wanted to echo Councilmember Kildee's viewpoint, which is I really do appreciate our staff. And when we had that workshop at the library on that Saturday morning, it was just such a new experience for me. And it was really a wonderful discussion that we were able to have with our fellow council members. So I appreciate all of you as well. And I know that while this was a semi-short presentation, I know there's thousands of hours behind all of this. So thank you so much.
Anyone else? Okay. We can move on to a motion.
And if I, beforehand, yes, Councilmember Kildee is going to recuse himself only as to item 1 due to his property interest, which is located near a trolley stop. So just for the first item, sir. Thank you. So if you could just ask for approval on that first item.
Okay. So we need a motion on item 1.
Okay, I will move
Of T, yeah.
to motion item 1.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. And that passes 4-0. 4-1? 4-0 with one recusal.
Recusal.
And you can return now, Councilmember Kildee.
I think he went away. He went really far.
He went far.
He can come back.
He went home. Okay. So now we have items 2, 3, 4, and 5.
I will move items 2 to 5.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. And that passes unanimously. Okay.
Okay, so on the sand district, we'll need a motion for items 1 and 2 as well.
And if I could also just briefly interject on resolution number 2023-8, I'm going to read just an additional recital, recital C, that goes into section 1, just nothing substantive, but is additional facts for the resolution. It reads, again, item C, a classification and compensation study was completed, and certain changes and adjustments are appropriate for salaries and benefits. So the motion to approve the resolution would have a request that you include that addition.
Okay. With that, do we
Thank
have a
you.
motion?
I'll move the approval. We have a second?
Second?
There's a motion and a second on item 1 and 2 on the sand district. Hearing no further discussion, please vote. That passes unanimously.
Okay. It is 6 o'clock, so it's time for public comments. Would anybody like to address the council? Arthur Munoz. Okay, Mr. Munoz, you have 3 minutes to speak. The beeper will go off at 2 minutes, but you'll still have 1 minute. So keep
Okay,
going.
ready now?
Go right
Okay, what I'd
ahead.
like to say is that by the grace of God Almighty, I am a cogent, cognizant, and coherent man. What I'm going to say is I'm hoping that I can rely on your individual intuitions to understand what I have to say. Although there was a lot of wonderful things said about, the police and, that was a wonderful story about the lady that just retired. However, what I have to say is something is much more ominous. And that involves how the Ventura County Sheriff has conspired with white nationalist movement in the city of Camarillo to take my life on 2 occasions. On about the day before Thanksgiving of last year, the homeless officer, I'm a homeless man that stays in my vehicle. The homeless officer approached me right out here in Constitution Park and asked me if I wanted a Thanksgiving dinner. And I was kind of off guard. I said, sure. And he tells me when he's doing this for me, he says, oh, that's the chief of police right there. And the car drives away. He goes, yeah, he's here for a photo op or something. And I'm like, okay, I didn't ask him that information. And he goes, this food's coming from the Oxnard Rescue Mission. I didn't ask him that information. I took it. I ate the food. Immediately thereafter, I was the sickest I've ever been in my life. I had like a COVID fever, flu. My chest was full of like a pneumonia condition. It was terrible. It wasn't until 4 days later that that cleared up. My problems in the county of Ventura go quite a long ways back. It's based on a 1990 conviction in case number CR 25901, where my rights were egregiously violated. I was also poisoned on 6/23, I believe it was, of last month, where something was put in my vehicle. I drank it. My urine was instantly black for about 12 hours. Literally, they're trying to murder me. And that's the truth. And those are just some of the most urgent issues that I had to share today with you folks. There again, my name is Arthur Fred Munoz. I'm a child of God Almighty. And God Almighty's will be done. These people will be punished like God has punished the people in the past who has adversely tried to harm me in this world. And thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Munoz.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to address the council at this time? This is for items not on the agenda. No? Okay, hearing none, we'll continue. And this brings us to item U, which is the third amendment to the city manager, district manager employment agreement.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. Before you this evening is the consideration of a third amendment to the employment agreement with the city manager and district manager, Greg Ramirez. For background, on June 14th, 2023, the city council and district in closed session conducted a performance evaluation as well as contract negotiations. Furthermore, in accordance with the Government Code Section 54953, subsection C, the City Council is to receive an oral report of salary and compensation paid to any local agency executive prior to taking final action. Based on the above, the proposed third amendment to the employment agreement would increase the salary of the city manager by 7% from $281,990.18 to $301,729.58. The employment benefits provided would continue as offered from the prior year and as further described in the original agreement with the city manager, and that is on an annualized basis at a value of $187,944.40. The recommendation is that you authorize the mayor to sign the third amendment for the employment agreement with the city manager, district manager, Greg Ramirez, and I can answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you for the report. Do we have any questions? No comments?
I'll make a comment.
Sure.
Yeah, I just want to make a comment that I've had the pleasure of really working with several city manager in my time here. And Mr. Ramirez is at the top of his game. He comes highly regarded. He's highly respected throughout the county, and he's very professional in every way that anyone could imagine. So I've really enjoyed working with him. And we pay very well here, but we also expect a lot of our management team here, and he fully understands that. So I look forward to working many years in the future with Mr. Ramirez.
Thank you. Any other comments? Dr. Martinez-Bravo.
Yes. I think it is important to note that a professional market-based survey had not been conducted in the past 11 years, and the best practice is to do it in 3 to 5 years. And when I think about Greg, I think the very first thing that comes to mind is that he is forward-thinking. That is how I have described him, and I think that in the short time that I have been here, he has done a wonderful job and in supporting his staff and in supporting city council, especially as we're coming in new. Greg has 20 years of experience, and he is one of the 2 leading city managers in the county among the 14 agencies and cities. So Greg, thank you very much for everything that you do and for leading the city in this way.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move the approval.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. And that passes unanimously.
I'll need a motion with the Sanders sticker as well.
I'll move the approval.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, please vote. That passes unanimously.
Okay. That will bring us down to item V, and that's the fiscal year 2023 to 28 capital improvement program. James Campero.
All right. Good evening, Madam Mayor and council members. My name is James Campero. I'm the Deputy Public Works Director in charge of our Capital Projects Division. I appreciate the opportunity to provide an update, brief update and overview of the 5-year capital improvement program, also known as our CIP for fiscal years 2023 through 2028. So just a general overview of our 5-year CIP document. The 5-year CIP is broken up into 5 categories of projects, including transportation, water, sanitary, storm drainage, and buildings and grounds projects. I think maybe the more accurate title is the 5-year-ish CIP, because in addition to reviewing the upcoming 5 fiscal years, it also includes the current fiscal year. There's an additional emphasis placed on year 1, which is fiscal year 23-24. Which actually starts this Saturday on July 1st. And at the City of Camarillo, we have a very large and aggressive CIP. So included within the aforementioned 5 categories of projects, we have 88 projects totaling over $370 million of total project cost. And that includes 19 new projects that were added to this year's, or proposed to be added to this year's CIP, which I'll discuss in more detail in the upcoming slides. And of those 88 projects included in the 5-year CIP, approximately 50 are what we consider active projects. So just as it sounds, active projects being projects we are actively working on or anticipate to actively be working on over the next fiscal year. And along those same, discussion lines of active projects and large aggressive CIP, I did want to mention that sitting behind me here are most of the equally strong and aggressive CIP staff to kind of meet, match, and manage those capital projects that are included in the capital improvement program. I just wanted to make sure to acknowledge them, the hard work they put on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, 5-yearly basis. I get kind of often get the glory of the presentation here and the associated accolades, but really the varsity team behind me is the group that puts in the work to get those complicated projects done. And we're always up for a challenge. So as I mentioned, we are also proposing to add 19 new projects to the 5-year CIP. Here they're listed by category, 2 projects in transportation, 3 water projects, 2 sanitary projects, and 12 building and grounds projects. And here's just the full list of the new projects, as shown on the previous slide. And as Mr. Uribe mentioned, many of these projects are facility improvements, such as HVAC equipment replacements, lighting upgrades, and future roof restoration at City Hall, the library, and the police facility. I did also want to note that, as discussed previously, we're in the process of updating our water and sewer rates, which may affect some of the CIP projects that are listed, specifically those funded with water, sewer, general fund. So adjustments that result from those studies can be made at that time, or most likely with the next CIP update. And just to close things out here, here's the CIP timeline. I know City Council obviously is aware and was actively involved in this process, but just for the public's sake, I wanted to note that the presentation today is pretty brief for a reason. I think that's because it's the culmination of a lot of hard work, a lot of meetings, a lot of presentations, a lot of very good comments and feedback from City Council. So running through that real quick here, We presented the draft five-year CIP at the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee in late March. We received some excellent feedback from Vice Mayor Tremblay as well as Councilmember Martinez-Bravo. Then we took those comments, made the necessary revisions, finalized and distributed that draft CIP in mid-April. That was followed up by a presentation to all of City Council at the May 6th Budget and CIP Workshop, as was mentioned earlier. Again, with some excellent discussion, very good feedback from City Council, followed up by the Planning Commission meeting earlier this month, finding this five-year CIP to be in conformance with the general plan. And lastly, today's meeting, which essentially brings us to staff's recommendation to adopt a resolution approving fiscal years 2023 through 2028 capital improvement program. That essentially concludes my presentation. I'm available, and I guess nearly all of our CIP staff is also available to answer any questions that the public or council may have.
Thank you, James. Do we have questions? I don't see any questions. Okay, oh, never mind.
Question and a comment whenever it's
Go
appropriate.
right ahead.
Yeah, I just want to, again, reiterate my thanks to the city staff. This is a very comprehensive budgetary item. It takes several hours for council members to go through all the necessary documents. Just to remind folks out there that we have, 5 categories. We've got building and grounds, transportation, storm drain, water, and sanitary, and they're all extremely important, but I want to especially single out our street maintenance. When I was first elected here, our streets were somewhat problematic, and it's taken a lot of years to get them up to a satisfactory level here, and that to a certain extent can kind of put our city in an area and a kind of a level of street maintenance that some of our other neighbors to the north and south and west of us are not. So that's really important for just one council member here, and I appreciate staff through all these years doing what they can do within the budget to maintain that. And all of the other categories here, because they're all super important. And, we have a very active city here, and we do the best we can to try to keep up with our maintenance to keep our city what it is. So always a work in progress. You're never completed, but, bring up new things every year as well, too. But I just want to remind everybody, we've always had a very assertive capital projects as well, and I'm sure we'll continue that. So again, I want to thank all the staff members and council members that have spent a lot of time and really prioritized our capital improvement projects here.
Any other comments? Yes?
I'm just going to say ditto to Councilmember Kildee's comments with special thanks to our outstanding staff. And the CIP this is a real project. Actually multiple projects, but it takes hours and hours and hours of time, and I really appreciate it, just like I appreciate all the efforts of staff relative to the budget. Same goes for CIP, so thank you.
Okay, this is a public hearing, so I will open the public hearing. And
Would you like to also open?
I'll open the Camp San, reconvene the Camp San hearing as well.
do we have any comments, any public comments? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing for City Council,
I'll close the public hearing for the sanitary district.
and it's time for a motion.
Move the recommended item.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Please vote. That passes unanimously.
I'll need the same motion for the sand district as well.
I will move the recommended item
I'll
for
second.
the sanitary.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, please vote. That passes unanimously.
All right.
So with that, I'm going to close the sanitary district meeting.
And that brings us to the end of our agenda, so that with that, we will we adjourn the meeting of the Camarillo City Council.